Lawler.
I must say I strongly welcome this bill here this evening. The political system in Ireland requires major reform, and this bill is the first step in the positive direction to enhance democracy and political effectiveness in this country. This bill is particularly relevant in light of recent events which precipitated the need to introduce such legislation without delay. The ruling by the High Court in November 2010 that there was unreasonable delay in holding the Donegal West by-election and the delay was a breach of constitutional rights highlights the need for such legislation. Such an occurrence can never occur again. It came about because common sense did not prevail within the previous government to fill the vacant seats in a timely fashion. We can see from the UK that they do not need to legislate for writs to be moved because this generally occurs within 3 to 6 months of a casual vacancy arising. But in Ireland, to ensure that history does not repeat itself, a time frame for holding of the by-election should be enshrined in our legislation. I strongly accept the fact that by-elections need to take place in Ireland within 6 months. The electorate deserve to be fairly representative within Dáil at all times to maintain a democratic balance within the county. On such a small island, one can understand how people can be aggrieved when neighbouring constituents, who are often only a few metres away from them, have an adequate share of representatives. Legislation is urgently required because constitutionally there must be one TT per 20,000 to 30,000 people within each constituency. If this ratio is breached and people are denied their quota of representatives, a legal challenge could once more be taken to call a by-election, as occurred in November last year. This challenge brought before the High Court last year was an unnecessary cost to the state. This amendment to the bill is a mechanism for saving such wasted money and an unnecessary recourse to the legal system. On this island we have two different electoral systems in terms of voting for national parliamentarians, and both systems have by-elections. Yet our neighbours in the north appear to address the issues of casual vacancies without recourse to legislation and much more efficiently. Furthermore, this amendment to the bill will give reassurance to the public that their voices will be heard both from the point of representation and for their choice of TDs. In Ireland, we should embrace the fact that we can again allow the electorate their choice for filling a casual vacancy. The holding of a by-election is important in terms of democracy as the people's voice can be heard. This is unlike, for example, in Malta where they have the similar electoral system but they work a count-back system for filling casual vacancies. And in our European Parliament, MEPs do not hold by-election, but rather they have a substitute list which is used to fill a vacant seat. However, the replacement may not necessarily be that of which was next in line on the official substitute list at the time of the election, but rather candidates lower on the list by default may take a seat in the European Parliament. Is this really fair? Consequently, the Irish system appears to be fair in that it allows the voice of the electorate to be heard. On many a question, the need to reduce the number of TDs, according to leading political scientists, Irish figures are comparable internationally per head of population. The method they use determines the appropriate number of representatives per cubic root of population, and based on this method, we should have 166 national politicians. However, I believe that the bill is correct in decreasing the number of TDs for the following reasons. Ireland is overrepresented in terms of elected personnel. There are 1,627 local councillors, along with 166 TDs and 60 senators. This government is serious about overall political reform, and I believe this must begin at the top with our national parliament. Reducing the number of TDs will lessen the link between local and national issues by focusing the attentions of TDs more on legislation. As a former county councillor just elected to Dáil, this reduction in the number of TDs will devolve power to local government, strengthening their role within communities, a move that will be appreciated by all concerned. It is found recently that only 61% of TDs spend more than 6 hours on legislative work in the Dáil. We need to ensure that this number of hours is increased and that legislation is the primary focus of all TDs. An argument has been put forward that a reduction in the number of TDs will affect the level of accountability of the Parliament. However, I would argue to the contrary. The less TDs there are in the Dáil, the more responsible they are for their actions, and hence more accountable to their constituents and society as a whole. This bill is one step in addressing the lack of government reform by previous administrations. The recommendations of a number of independent and government-backed reports have been discarded in favour of self-interest. This practice stops now. We need to change not only how the Dáil works, but how we view our role as national elected representatives. Furthermore, in the current economic climate, you cannot ignore the fact that reducing the number of TDs is a cost-saving measure.
Deputy, you're eating into your colleague's time.
Overall, political reform is required. This bill is a major step forward in that direction. I look forward to the establishment of the Electoral Commission, which will be tasked, along with many other functions, with addressing the current discrepancy in the electoral registers, which we have all encountered in the recent general election. Thanks again for order.
Thank you very much.